So football is back this weekend. It's Premier League prediction time. Welcome to Up the Villa podcast. On today's episode, I've set the team a challenge to predict their top four, bottom three, and initially where they feel like Aston Villa will finish this season. If you are new watching, subscribe to the channel. You'll help us grow, and it'll be really appreciated. We're a fan-based podcast looking to have your say. The viewer, the listener, sat at home, come on board, have your say after the games, and we can talk about all things Aston Villa. So when I started thinking about doing this video to set up the predictions, I knew it would be quite difficult because the window's far from complete. Not a lot of sides have made that many signings, but the season starts on Saturday, so we have really got to start thinking about the Premier League season from now. So obviously Aston Villa don't play till next weekend, so that gives us a little bit more time to get these players in, to get this striker in, which is what we really need to do. So going on straight in there then, so let's think about the top four to start with. So fourth place for myself, I'm going to predict Man United to finish in fourth place. Luckily, hopefully, they haven't signed Jack Grealish, and I don't think they're going to anymore. So that's a massive, massive plus point for us. It was a real worry for me to be losing him. So hopefully, let's all keep these fingers crossed that he does stay and he's having a great time on England international duty. So I've gone with Man United. They did start playing good last season, but I feel like a lot of teams around them have added a lot more quality and it is going to be quite tight up there. So I've gone for United in fourth place. Third place, a little bit of a shock that I think some of you might think. I've gone for Manchester City. I feel like that they do lack a striker. I think Aguero's getting a little bit older now, and I just feel like they need a bit more of a presence up front. And defensively, they've brought in Ake, but you know that he's from a side that ships in over 60 goals in the last few seasons in Bournemouth. So I feel like they're still going to have their problems all over the pitch, to be fair. Second place, I've gone for Chelsea, who have some of their signings that they've made this summer are just brilliant. You know, you're looking at Timo Werner, Havertz, Chilwell, Thiago Silva. You know, they've made some real good signings, and I think under Lampard, they did start playing really well last season. So I do see them being up there. My only reservation for them not to be winning the league is that I feel like we all know that when you bring in a lot of signings, it's really difficult to get them to gel. Obviously, they're bringing in world-class players, so it probably will be a little bit easier to what Villa have done in the past, where we've brought in a lot of players that aren't used to this level of football. So I've gone for Chelsea in second. They're going to be a real one for me to watch this season. They're going to be really exciting. You know, it's going to be good to watch how they develop as well, because I think they're going to be a real good, strong team this season. And then first place, I've gone for Liverpool. I think they absolutely bossed it last year, and I see them doing the same thing. The only thing that I would probably say is going to happen this season is that the top four is going to be a lot tighter, and they are probably going to be taking points off each other, because I think they've all strengthened a little bit, and I think they have all probably got better, and maybe the gap has probably been closed to Liverpool. So thinking about the relegation battle now, in 20th place, I've gone for Fulham. We all know coming into this league how difficult it is to adjust and to settle, and I think this window might not help Fulham because obviously the season starts and you can still be bringing in players, and I just feel like they're just not going to bring in the quality, and I don't feel like they're going to hit the road running, say, like what Sheffield United did last season. 19th place, I've gone for West Brom. Hey. I don't feel like they've strengthened enough. I don't think they've got to hit the ground running as well. Striker-wise, I feel like they're lacking up front as well. So, like I say, it is early stages, but I do think those two teams are going to struggle. And then in 18th place, I've gone with Crystal Palace. I've based this on their form towards the end of last season. It was shocking. It was awful. And we've said this in previous podcasts that they seem to get the job done early in the Premier League. They get enough points and then they always dip come February, March time. And I just feel like they just don't have enough quality. And I do feel like they are going to be down there. So for the bottom three, I've gone for Fulham, West Brom and Crystal Palace. And let's just initially get on to Villa, because we are going to be chatting more in depth on the next episode about everything to do with Aston Villa. So I have gone for us to finish 12th. Now, I've picked 12th because I feel like we can get better. We have got to still strengthen in certain areas for us to reach that target of 12th, where I think we're going to finish. Hopefully we can finish higher than that. But I think the bottom half is quite weak, and I think we saw last season that a lot of teams do pick up points against each other, and I feel like if you can hit form, get on a bit of a run, it's crucial in the Premier League. 3 wins and you're well away. So I've picked 12. I think we can get better if we bring in the certain players that are required: a striker, a keeper, and maybe a winger or another midfielder. Then I feel like we're more than capable of doing that if we do keep Jack Grealish as well. So they're my predictions. Let's see what the rest of the team have got to say. So here he is, the main man, the skipper of the podcast, Ryan. How are you?
Not too bad, mate. All good. Keeping ourselves busy with that blog page, aren't we?
Definitely. So I've asked you to come up with your top 4, bottom 3, and just initially where you think Villa are going to finish. So what would your top 4 be?
I think the top 4 will be the same as last season. Not in that same order.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea have made a massive statement of intent with their transfer dealings. Man United, I think they're going to be 4th. I think Arsenal and Tottenham will improve, but I think Manchester United have just got that edge. And then, if Lampard could get Chelsea to gel, Timo Werner, who else did I sign? Ziyech, Kai Havertz, the list is endless. Chilwell as well. So they've brought really well. If Lampard can get all them settled and gelled, there might be a surprise contender to go for the title. I do think it might be a season too soon, but you never know. So second place, I think maybe Liverpool,
Do you?
Yeah, I think they've had 2 brilliant seasons. They've probably got 100, I think it's 198 points they've accumulated in 2 seasons. But this season's a bit different. It's condensed, and I think the squad is going to play a massive part. And as much as Liverpool's first 11 is terrific, and when they're on form, they're awesome, but their squad, I feel like their squad isn't as good as Manchester City's squad.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to give City the edge. I think Pep will be wanting to bounce back after last season. There's 18 points difference between Liverpool and Man City. So I think Pep is going to go for the title this year. So yeah, I'll go for Man City. Man City top spot.
Yeah, decent that is. So relegation wise, who have you got down the bottom?
We got probably bottom. So fuck the baggies, mate. Fuck the Albion. I think the team we beat in the semi-final is better than the team that's coming up this season.
Yeah.
So I think baggies will struggle. Can't really see Fulham doing too much again. They were a bit inconsistent last season. Come up through the playoffs. And then the final place, I don't know. I just feel like an established Premier League team is going to be dragged into it.
Yeah.
I don't think all's right at West Ham.
No.
I think Mark Noble's tweet,
showcased
a bit of what's going on in the dressing room.
They're having a shocker.
Yeah. Crystal Palace, I think, they've got a bit of an ageing squad. A couple of bad results, the confidence goes. They're a type of team that can easily be sucked into it. Yeah. Obviously, Leeds coming up as well. And so I think you'll be out of West Ham and maybe Crystal Palace, to be honest.
So you don't know who I've gone for because I've done mine first, but I've actually gone for Crystal Palace as well. I think we mentioned on a podcast before as well that Palace seem to get their results nice and early, and then that always gets to like February, March time, and they have a real dip in form. And like you say, the ageing squad, I've tipped them to be down there as well. I think they've only signed Eze, so it might look like Zaha's going as well. So, like you said, I've put Palace down there as well. So your bottom 3 similar to mine, with Palace, and I've also put Fulham and West Brom to go down as well. So where are you putting Villa?
Wow, I'd like us to be in and around 12, 13.
I've put 12 as well.
But that's with a few signings, a couple of wingers and a striker.
Exactly what I've said. You might as well go now.
But so that's where I'm hoping we can get off to a good start and just steadily progress this season. Just be comfortable and look to build for next season.
Yeah, you're like my clone. So cheers for coming on, mate. You've literally just said what I said, so that's all good.
Class, mate.
Cool, mate. Speak to you soon.
All right, see you in a bit.
So our second caller of the night, Justin. How are you?
All right, mate. How are you?
Yeah, what are you drinking there, Justin?
Just thought I'd have a quick cup of tea, mate. Lovely cup of tea.
Where'd you get that mug from?
I got it offline, mate. Hopefully I'll be able to get a few more soon, if anybody's interested.
Definitely. So, give me your top four then.
Right, top four. We'll go in fourth place, Manchester United.
Yeah.
And this is going to be controversial. Third place, Liverpool.
Oh, that is controversial.
It is controversial. I know it's a big shout. Second, I think they'll have a big season this season, Chelsea.
Yeah.
And top, I'm going for Man City.
That's decent, mate. So what's your bottom three?
Bottom three, this is a really tough one. I narrowed it down to 8 teams.
Yeah.
So I'm going bottom of the league, Fulham. I think Fulham are going to do a Fulham. And then second bottom, West Brom. And then after what happened to them last season, they had a bit of a rally at the end, but I think they're in a bit of trouble from listening to the fans. I think West Ham are going to drop as well.
They are in big trouble, and by the sounds of it, on and off the pitch, they're having an absolute nightmare. So I could see them starting off really, really bad as well. So give me your one number of where Villa are going to finish.
It's actually my favourite number as well. So at the moment, with everything as it stands, still a lot of work to be done in the transfer market. I'm going to say 13th.
13th. Me and Ryan have said 12th.
All right.
We've out-optimistic the Mr. Positive on that one.
Yeah, well, I could have easily I think anything below probably the top 7, I think it is, who are probably set there still. And then, there's an argument for anybody after that finishing anywhere. I do think it's a tight league. I think there's a lot of teams that are going to be very similarly they're very similar sides. So it's about who gets off to good starts, who can pick points up, when things aren't going that well. It's going to be a very tight league, I think, next season. So, we could easily finish a bit higher. We could easily finish a bit lower as well. But I think as it stands with the squad we've got, with obviously no major signings yet, apart from Cash, I think I'd be happy with 13th as it stands. I think that's a decent season.
I think, like you say, it's really difficult predicting this when there's so much of the window still to go and so many teams haven't done much business. But I just thought we'd get it in there because obviously the season starts on Saturday for a lot of the teams. And hopefully we make the signings that are required to get us to the levels that you've just said. So thanks for your call anyway, mate.
See you later.
Love that cup. Love that cup.
It's lovely, isn't it? Drink's lovely as well. Drink lovely out of it.
Speak to you soon, mate.
Up the Villa.
So delighted to say, joined by Seb. How are you?
Hello, mate. I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. So I've gave you the task of running through your top 4 relegation and where you think Villa will initially finish. So what are you going for your top 4?
My top 4, coming in 4th place, probably just sneaking that Champions League spot. I had it down to 2 teams, the red side of London and the white side of London. And I've probably just nicking it for me is Jose Mourinho's Tottenham. I think with a full season under his belt, Jose knows what he's doing. He knows how to get results and he knows how to get the best results out of the teams he's at. I think with a full season, as I said, under his belt, he'll be able to find those consistency levels that he probably struggled to find last season. Whereas I can't see Arteta keeping up consistently for the whole season. I think at some point he'll drop away. So for me, in fourth place, I've gone for Jose Mourinho's Tottenham Hotspur. Then coming in at third, I think it was a toss-up between all three of my top three teams. Could finish anywhere in the top three for me this season, because I genuinely think it will be very, very tight at the top. However, for me, coming in at third, I've gone for Chelsea, the blue side of London. Now, I've picked them to come third because I believe they've got a completely new squad. And as Villa fans know all too well, a new squad doesn't necessarily mean success straight away. Also coinciding with that, their so-called new squad is all very, very young. So there's no certain terms that they are going to come in and adapt to the Premier League straight away. So for me, I think I've put them just behind the top two. But I do think it will be very, very close. Then in second place, I've gone for last season's champions, Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. I think that Liverpool are a brilliant, brilliant team, such a close-knit bunch, such a together squad, and they work so well under the manager that they've currently got. However, for me, I believe that they've been at the top, the pinnacle of their game now for 2 seasons. Now, if I look, can I see them really challenging for that title again, keeping up those energy levels and the consistency throughout the season for a third year on the trot? Probably not. With that also coinciding, they haven't yet really made a move in the transfer market. Obviously, they've signed a backup left back, and I can only make my predictions off the transfer market now as it is, as we record. So they haven't obviously brought in Thiago, which they've been heavily linked with yet. But I do think that they will just fall short this year in terms of regaining their title. And so obviously I've got, in first place, I've gone for Pep Guardiola and his Manchester City team. I've been very impressed with their recruitment in the summer, bringing in Nathan Ake and very nearly finalising the deal with Koulibaly. According to Fabrizio, he's very, very close, and so that one's nearly over the line. I've been impressed with them in the way that they knew they struggled last year defensively. I think that's their only fault last year, their defence. They got let down too many times at the back. And credit to Pep and his backroom team, they've gone out and sorted that straight away. Before the season even starts, they brought in 2 real quality centre-backs. So I believe they'll have enough to win the league this year.
Yeah, good predictions. So run through your 3 teams at the bottom.
Okay, so coming in at 20th, I think people know I don't like them, but I've had my reasonings for finishing 20th. It is the Tesco Carrier Bags, West Bromwich Albion. I think that I've been quite impressed with West Brom, in fairness, managing to bring back their loan players from last summer, obviously spending relatively big on Mateus Pereira and Grady Diangana. The less said about the sale of Grady Diangana from West Ham's perspective, the better. So I think they've let a real gem go there, and how West Brom have got that deal over the line, they'll be incredibly lucky. But I don't think it'll be enough. Obviously, they've come up with such a small squad, and I look at that squad and I think to myself, are they in a better position than Villa were in the time Villa came up before we'd made any signings?
Yeah.
And I just can't see it. Their squad is so small, and they're inevitably going to get injuries. Okay, every team in the Premier League gets injuries. It's how you deal with those injuries. And I don't think that West Brom have the necessary cover to fill in for those injuries and still be able to perform at the level required to stay in this league. So saying that, I've got West Bromwich Albion in 20th place. Now, in 19th place, this is so difficult, having to having to predict the Premier League table with the transfer market still open is always a risky thing to do, because anything could happen.
Yeah, anything can happen.
I could put a team down in the relegation zone and they could go and sign someone who completely lifts them up and possibly pushes them to a mid-table finish. So in 19th place, people are not expecting them to pull up many trees this season. And I think that they could possibly surprise a few people with their brilliant manager in Scott Parker. I'm a big fan of Scott Parker and the way he plays his football. However, again, I look at that squad and I think, is that squad Premier League quality? In areas, yes. However, it lacks in areas, and I think that the teams in and around them will be able to capitalise on those weaknesses in their squad. And I do unfortunately think, for Fulham's sake, that will send them straight back down, as well as West Brom. So in 19th place, I have gone for Fulham. However, I do hope that if they go down, Scott Parker manages to keep his job and keep his credibility, because I'm a massive fan of Scott Parker and his style of football, his brand of football, and just Scott Parker as a man. I think a credit to the bloke. He's played for Fulham. He's played at the highest level, and now he looks as though at quite a young age he's going on to manage, and he's only getting better and better. So moving on into the final relegation place, and this is where it gets even trickier. God, there could be so many teams out there. Before coming on the podcast, I was thinking Newcastle could be down there. I was thinking Sheffield United could be down there. But within the space of, I don't know, an hour and a half of coming onto the podcast with you, Sheffield United have gone and made a triple signing, and Newcastle United have gone and made a double signing. And I think that probably does enough to sort of push them away just that little bit. However, probably a very controversial call. In 18th place and occupying the final relegation place, I have gone for Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace.
You cheeky. Me and Ryan have both gone for them as well.
Have you? Yeah. Have you? Oh, well, I didn't know. And to be fair, me and you were talking off air a while ago, and I must admit, I didn't have Crystal Palace down there, but in the time that I've been on air, I've convinced myself round to it. And you don't know with Premier League predictions, as I said, you've got to take a risk. And Crystal Palace are going to be my risk call this year. I don't think Roy Hodgson will be at Crystal Palace come the end of the season. Obviously, they've made a brilliant signing with Eberechi Eze, a player I'm a massive, massive fan of. And I was crying out for Villa to make that sort of signing, which they haven't as of yet. However, I don't think it will be enough, because I believe that Eze doesn't suit Roy Hodgson's style of football. I think Crystal Palace like to sit a lot of men behind the ball, whereas Eze suits having the ball at his feet, turning on his man and running, and being able to have support in and around him to be able to create the little link-up play, create the little triangles, as I watched very closely when he was at QPR last season, actually. However, I think he's going to be lacking that next season. So I don't think Roy Hodgson will be able to get the best out of Eze. And looking at that Palace squad, I don't think it has enough. Again, I've talked about squad depth massively, and it's something that I'm crying out for Villa to address. Obviously, at the time of recording this, we've only made one signing in the form of Super Matty Cash. So that's something I'm crying out for my Premier League club to kick on and make sure we deal with come the start of the season. However, Palace for me just don't have that, and I can't see them being able to keep up with everyone else come the end of the season. I do think it will be very close, and it will probably be between 5 or 6 clubs in those relegation places. It could be so many teams, but I've gone for a risk, and obviously, for once, you and Ryan both agree with me. You know,
Yes,
that
we
doesn't
do.
happen very often on the
Yeah, we
podcast.
do. So, if you had to pick one position for Villa, just give me the number. What you're going for?
One position. 14th. And I'll be
14th.
delighted with
And
14th
me,
as
I'll
well.
take that all day long. Cool, Seb. Thank you for your call.
No worries. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa, mate.